In this section of video lesson, I'll go through with Docker, which is another DevOps tools. So before going Docker is a container, but before going through, let me compare with the virtual machine. See, if you look here on the virtual machine, how that works, like it operate on hardware virtualization. Each VM has got its own operating system, also libraries. Now, if I see, let me open another image here. So, uh, if you check here that I have got like thing that it's my machine, physical server, I got my Windows. But on top of that, hypervisor, when I'm saying hypervisor, it's kind of VM software. Like here, it's a Oracle VM VirtualBox. On top of that, you can create multiple VMs, which ultimately getting resources from your physical server machine. So here, as an example, like for this system, Kafka system, you see that base memory is allocated, but this memory is coming from my local PC for here. When you go for real work environment, there will be massive setup, so they just create multiple VMs, but I'm just giving an understanding. So I can create another VM and allocate resources or storage. So if you go to settings, then you see that there is the option that how much storage you're going to allocate. You can allocate based on your requirements. So now let's talk about what the difference here. So if you look here, you see each their own operating system. But if you look at containerized or container, if I say this side, see you'll see that there is only one Docker engine, and what they're doing, this has got all the that application one, that will be application two anyway. So all this application has got their own that binaries and libraries and sharing the host operating system kernels. So yes, here is the machine that you are sharing, like that they are isolated. But in case of here, they are the sharing host kernel. Now, because it's a full operating system, so it will take that startup time will be more. But in case of here, it's a light, so startup time will be less. Other good thing is that that here maybe you define some resources, it may not fully utilized, but when you just that sharing that OS resources for the different containers, then it will be that resources will be efficiently used here. And other good like thing with container, I can, if I say, like if we do here operating system like versioning, it will be that like job will be complex. But in case of here, I can just individually version each application here. So that's the the difference when we are talking about container with virtual machines. Now let me talk about that the Docker components. So now in this section, let me talk on that the components that Docker has got. So first is the Docker client. So what is Docker client? It's a primary tool for user to interact with with the Dockers, to issue all the Docker commands to the Docker daemon. So there is the option for command line, also graphical interface. And then it's coming, okay, what is then Docker daemon? So Docker daemon is mainly all the background processes that are responsible for managing Docker container in a host system. Now it's coming, what is Docker host? So here is the Docker host. So Docker host is the system that is like it can be that machine, it can be physical or virtual machine that we are using, where actually Docker daemon is running. So that is Docker host. And what it does is mainly provides the underlying infrastructure to running Docker containers. So now what is Docker registry? If you look here, you will see the Docker registry. So Docker registry is a service that for storing and distributing all images. Like here you see that Ubuntu, Node, or MySQL. These are the different Node.js. So you see all there are different images. So Docker registry is a service for storing and distributing all those images. Like Docker Hub. Docker Hub is a public registry where you know that people can keep the images, and that can be private, that can be public. So like if you go for private registry, then you need to set that up. And now you see that we are talking about Docker daemon. You also see the server. Server has got all these things. Thing that Docker host, Docker daemon, container. So Docker server means ultimately it's a Docker daemon. Um, So now let me go through third basics, still in a basic understanding, so that you know how this is working. So now here you see that the Docker file, when you're talking about Docker file, so Docker file is a, I'll go through with all this. I'll show you that one. So Docker file is a plain text file that contains a sets of instruction to build a Docker image. And this image, it can be that it can be, we can build that up, we can build that based on base image, and then there may be some dependency that I would like to use, so I can use that one and set that up. And let me open that another document to show you actually how Docker file works. um, Let me open that one. So here is an example of Docker file. You see that it's a text file. So here from Node, it's a that official image. It's keeping that one, or it's the base image. There I am. After that, I'm setting up a directory, and after that, I'm copying all the packages. Then install all the dependencies. Then copy the application code, and it's that exposing through a port, and after that we are running a some command. So what, so so far you see the Docker file, then it's coming Docker image. So what is Docker image? Docker image is a lightweight standalone, and it's all the package that need included to run. Think that we need one Postgres database, and we would like to run that under CentOS image. So what we can do, we may not get that one fully, that the all the components that we need for our environment. So what we can do, we can get the CentOS image, then we can download the record software that we would like to use, and then create a Docker image from there. And when that image is ready, we can put into some kind of like a hub, Docker hub. We can put into Docker hub, and then run and get the image from there and run as a container. And what we can do, we can, and like Docker image can be versioned and can be shared. Let me connect to Docker hub so that I can show you what I mean. Let me connect to Docker hub here first. So here, as an example, I connected to my Docker hub account, and here you can see that some repository. So for example, you see that repository, I created an image and load that into Docker hub. So, and because this is a public repository, anyone can download from here and run that as a container. So now when you use that container, so container is a runnable instance of a Docker image. So Docker image, that first Docker file, from page image, we are just setting up all the required packages, and then creating an image and pulling that pushing that into Docker Hub. From Docker Hub we can pull the image and run as a container. So what the benefit of this one? You can think that way. That the benefit is that it will be consistent across all the environments. When we set that up, we know that we have got the right software in place, and we can use the same image into all the environment. So in summary, if I say that Docker file is a sets of instruction for building a Docker image. Docker image is a packaged executable software unit that includes all the applications and its dependencies. And when container is a runnable instance of Docker image. Hope that in this section I will go through installing Docker. So first for that, let me check the version. So you can get that like uname minus a. Oh, there's a typo. Otherwise, you can see that cat etc was release. So in my case, it's Amazon Linux, and you see the it's like a CentOS Red Hat Linux or Fedora type. So to installing software, you can go to Docker docs, and there you can see based on your operating system, you can select or follow the steps. So in my case, most of the packages are already there. So only thing I need to straight run, that the Docker engine to here installing Docker engine, and why like a dash y is not to prompt me. Let me search that one. Yum search Docker. That hooks only yum info Docker to get the information. Yum install. Okay. So now I think I typed wrong over there. Search yum install Docker in. Okay, I typed Docker engine, so that should be Docker because it's already there. So yum install Docker. So let me select yum y. So now Docker is installed here. To check that one, Docker version. So you see the Docker is installed now into the system. Now to enable start the Docker daemon on boot, we need to execute systemctl enable Docker. Now if we see the status, so Docker is inactive. So let's start that one. Now if we see the status, so now you can see that Docker is up and running. Now let's go through, with different Docker commands in relate to lifecycle of a container. So lifecycle of a container, if you look here, like, Docker created, Docker is stopped, or Docker running is running, there is a different option, the Docker is stop, restart, pause, or kill. So, or that removing that Docker or destroying. So let's go through all these commands now. one by one. So let me clear the image. So the very first thing I'm going to do, just first create a new container based on CentOS. So here you said that I is for interactive mode and T for the terminal TTY window. So now is that we are creating a container, and if we see the processes, we can see that container name is CentOS OS that we give a name, and you can see the container ID and really like relate to container information. Now let me create another container based on that Ubuntu image. So last one was CentOS image. Now going to create based on Ubuntu image. So now you can see that there are two containers running. One is the CentOS operating system and another is Ubuntu operating system. Now, for I would like to stop this container. So what I have to do for that, Docker stop. We can give the container name or container ID. So we can pass either this one or this one. So if I do that one, container is stop. So now I see the status. You can see that it has been exited. So now if I would like to start that again, what I have to do, just start. Um, as I said that we can use container ID or name. So let this time we use name. So name is CentOS. So if we do that one, so let me see the status. You can see that is up in seconds, like in 7 seconds. Now we have stopped and start. There is also restart command that we can execute. So we can put restart. So so restart has been done. So if we check the status, it will be up and running. So that we can see that one. Now there is another option that we can pause the containers. To pause the container, what we have to do instead of that you see that restart, here you replace with pause. So now if you see the status now, you will see that it's in paused state. To unpause, we have to just use unpause. So if we go here, just unpause. So you can see that container is unpaused. If we check the status, you can see that container is unpaused now. Now, sometimes we may need to, that the naming wise, we would like to rename the container. So in that case, what we can do, just give the rename. So Docker rename. And the old name, for example, here I have got CentOS 01. I want this name to CentOS. Okay, I did not put 02 any container there, so I put 02. So when I have done that one, if I go here to check the container, running container, we can see that one that it became 02 now. So we have renamed. Now let's go through with some image one. So to see the image, you need to execute Docker images. So you can see that which images are running. Now, if I want to check for particular one, so CentOS. So what I can do, Docker images, give that type of image that you're looking for. So if you give that one, so it will give that specific to that image one. Other option that we can search the container, so like image, like you are searching for some kind of specific image. So what you can do, for example, so far we see that Ubuntu and CentOS, so, and I'm going to search so Docker search is here, says search Fedora. So it will give me all the options you see here, that Fedora related images that on Docker Hub. Now, in case if you want to, that because it's getting a big list, you want big chunks of only, that with filter criteria, so you can put filter. There's a filter option to restrict that one, and stars, stars, stars. For example, here I am giving filter output based on stars, so I'm giving stars 3. So you see that it's just giving one image. So you can filter image to get that which is your official image, or many people are using that one to check that. And in that case, now if you'd like to pull this image, so into your local repository. So if I say local machine, so Docker pull. Because so far you see that Docker images. There is no Fedora image. Now I want to pull that image. So Docker pull Fedora. So it will pull the Fedora images. So now if I check the images, you will see that Fedora images is there. Now I would like to remove that image. So what I have to do, Docker rm remove image. Which image I would like to remove? I would like to remove Fedora. So I can just type remove that Fedora. So it will remove that image. Now if I check that one, you will see that Fedora image is not there. So now if I see the Docker containers which are running or not running, that's where I put A. Now, if I would like to stop any container, oh, to first you can think that if I would like to remove, yes, I can remove any container. For example, if I remove container docker rm, remove container name. So, for example, you would like to remove R2. So, if I do that one, what is happening? That container is removed. So now if you see the docker ps, you can see that one, but what is happening? That CentOS which I removed, it's not there anymore. So CentOS O2 is not there anymore. Now other case can come like you want to save the container, that images into tar or archive directory. So what we can do, for example, this Ubuntu image, I would like to save that one. So what I need to do, so Docker save this image that I would like to save into where? In my system. I can give a path, but I'm just giving this current directory bkp.tar. So if I do that one, now you see here that tar file is created. So you can see that um, uh, we can um, we can take a backup. At the same time, if I would like to use that one or load that one, that also I can do that one. How? So that is command is load. So Docker load, have to pass input, and which one I want? This tar file. So if I do that, okay, a typo. So I put Docker load. So you see that loaded image here. So other option that we can, uh, okay. Docker images. We can do other thing like export. So how we can do export? So first check the Docker container list. So this container is running CentOS 03. Let me export that one. So Docker export this container and give bkp.tar. So you can export that one also. The export format, you see that CentOS 03 backup tar. So here we have exported. Same way, like when we save and we load that one, last time we saved that one, then we can load that one. Similar, here we take export, we can import that tar file and we can give a version name. So for example, so in that case, Docker import, which one? This is the name, my tar file, and I want give it some name like CentOS 03, give version 03. So this input, now if I do Docker ps, now I ps dash a, so check all the images and now Docker images. So here you can see after that this command here, so version 3. So here we have seen how we can export and import the container or how we can backup the tar file. So now what we'll do, we'll run a container into detach mode and then attach that one. So for that, let's straight run a container like CentOS. So for the Docker um, run detach mode, give a name test1 and image is CentOS. So that container is running. Now I know the name, this one. So if I see the Docker ps minus a, it will give me all that one. So test one. So, but it's running into detach mode. Now you'd like to attach that one. So Docker attach, give a name. So you can see it's already attached. So that means I am already that container level. So here you can, if I type, I can see all the directory df minus h. So I can see that also I'm into straight into container level. So verify that process into inside that host. So what even you can see the process what it is running here, all the processes and now exit. So now if I exit, whenever I exit, now if I see the processes, you can see that has been exited. So it has stopped that one. I can start that again. So for that, so Docker start uh, test one. Now if I go again, you can see that is up and running. Now what we will do, we'll create a new name as a test2 for the CentOS container. So for that, what we have to do, I have to execute command docker run, give a name into test2 CentOS and into USR user bin top dash p background. So now if we like to attach this one, there's a docker attach test tool. So I'm going to that container level, and from here you can see that the top command I set that up, so it's running the top command. From here you can see that. um, so Control C. If I do turn, so I am out of that one. Now if I see the status, so you see that it test2 is exited. Now there is other option that stats. So stats command returns the live data streams for a running container. So if I type like docker stats like test1, so if I type test1, you can get that information like how much CPU memory using. So you can get some basic what is going on, like research was into that system. You can see that one. You can check like for multiple at the same time. It's docker ps minus a. So two containers, for example, is running. So I can check that for docker stats test1 and also CentOS 3 at the same time. I can do that one. I think that is possible, as you can see that for both of them at the same time. Now, other thing I don't think I mentioned here. So, like, I would like to get like Docker information. So, if I type Docker info, so it will display the system-wide information. Like you can get, you see that it's a you do not need everything to know at this stage as a beginner, but yeah, in the long run you will get more information. So what it is giving, if you go here, you can give you see servers, how many containers, how many are running, how many has stopped, and how many images are there. And when we are setting up storage, then where it is going. I'll go through this section, when go to volume. So here mainly I'm going through all the basic commands. So think that you running a container can be some operating system based on your application. That can be Java application, Python application, or any kind of application that you use. So here I am going through all the basic commands so far. Now, what other we can do? Like if we give a parameter, for example. So what is that? Like I put a set up a parameter in OS level. So I'm giving today is the date and giving a format. So if I print that one, I can get the value. There is sys date also, date time, date. You can see that one. So what I'm going to do now, I'm making this as a event Docker events. I'm giving passing a variable. So if I do that one, so you see that you can see the event information, and I can exit from here, Control C. So there is also inspect option. Like I would like to see, sometimes it is better to see, when we are downloading an image from the web, always make sure that you know that image is good, because someone can put some vulnerable codes inside that image. So it is always better to check. And if there are official image, try to use official image and then do customize image based on your own requirements or business requirements that you need. So to check an image, what you can do, there is inspect command. So docker inspect. What is that? You're giving type, then I'm giving image, and then image name, so CentOS. So if you see that one, you can get, a little bit details here, like parent comment container, and what is the host name. So I'll go through this, maybe in later session more, but there is inspect command from where you can, get the information for a specific image. So, it's the labels or Docker version, who the author, who developed this one, and when that build it, you can get those information also. There's other options like that if you'd like to copy between a container and a local file system, like that we take a backup or we take an export here, that files are still there. So if I want like copy this one, um, so Docker copy cp copy command, and then what I want, this star file for example, I used to run as a something CentOS is tmp. So my path is wrong. No such container mm, or CentOS 03, isn't that Docker ps minus a CentOS 03. So here you see that we can done, like we can also copy from the containers file system to the that local machine to the container file system. We can do that one. There are other options like you can run diff command, or you can run history command, so Docker history, and you can put CentOS. You can get the history also. Um, and now, if I would like to kill that one, so there is also kill. So Docker kill CentOS 03. So you can kill that one also. So I hope you got a very good, all the lifecycle commands that I have used, most of them here. So next section here, we'll go through a little more on volumes, and how you can uh, works maybe Docker Compose. Anyway, that's for now. So we'll start next one.